Because the thing is, what I'm really concerned about with AI is that we're going to lose our voice.
You have really overcome the hurdle that a lot of creators are facing, which is sounding like everyone else, because no one wants to sound like everyone else. No one's looking to these tools to say, let me do a post on LinkedIn that gets almost no reach because it looks like the other recruiters post on LinkedIn.
And if you immediately switch that off and now you're some sort of corporate consultant, you've lost what makes you valuable to the company you work for or to your own brand.
On today's episode of Accelerating Humans, we're diving into how to actually make AI sound like you. I talk with Bert about how he's trained his AI to ditch the corporate fluff, speak in plain English, and actually be useful, not just fast. We share real tips for building a bot that reflects your voice, your values, and your day-to-day needs. Whether you're writing emails, planning projects, or just trying not to sound like every other LinkedIn post, this one is for you. You ever read something online and think, did a real person write this, or did a robot just copy and paste this from Harvard Business Review? Yeah, me too. That's kind of where this all started. This conversation you're about to hear. Bert and I got talking about how AI is shaping the way we write, communicate, even show up at work. And it's not always in a good way. A lot of what we see sounds polished, generic, kind of soulless. So today we're asking, what if you could train AI to sound like you? Not like a consultant, not like a motivational meme, like you. And I get it, it sounds a little weird. Train your robot. But that's literally what we're talking about. Whether you're writing emails, posting online, building stuff for clients, your voice matters. So why hand over a mic to a tool that doesn't know who you are? In this episode, Bert shares how he built a bot that knows his tone, his banned phrases, yes, circle back is one of them, and even his punctuation quirks. We talk about how little effort it actually takes to get started and why sounding like everyone else is kind of the worst strategy you can pick right now. So if you've been curious about AI but don't want to lose what makes you work, yours, this is the conversation for you. So let's get into it.
Hi.
Good morning, Julianna. How are you?
Good morning.
So,
I heard you've been playing with robots.
I had a giant conversation with my wife about AI, and just like it always this, it does that. And I've talked to some of the senior devs that I know, and we're laughing that robots are talking, or that people are talking to robots, and robots are talking to robots about people. So it's like we've put this layer in between, and we're starting to see it in a couple of different places. It's you see, okay, what is robot style? And it is this very corporate-y, looks like it was written by a Harvard person. And I can read it and I can say, okay, that was written by ChatGPT.
I mean, that's my LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn feed. I feel like I look at all these LinkedIn posts and everything sounds the same. And the hooks are all the same. Then we get bullet points with emojis. Like it all just sounds the same.
All right, we laugh about this, but you have to remember, okay, why does it sound the same? And the part of the deal behind it is it's a large language model, and it's trained on a lot of data. So it has the corpus of knowledge that trained it. And it's all of the people that write a bunch of crap, all of the consultants, all of the college people, all of if you think about your own business life, I don't know how much stuff you actually write down that would be available to an AI to actually train something. Probably most of your day-to-day written stuff isn't available, but all public record. So they just hoovered it on up, and it's now part of the body of knowledge. Good news is it doesn't have to weight that as heavily as it can. You can train your robot.
So you can train it.
You can.
So I could have, so when my boyfriend looks at me so lovingly and he's like, I just wish I could have another one of you. I can train it to have a sassy remark back when he says that to it.
Oh, heck yes. All right. I have examples. I have specific examples.
I'm going to use this for danger. This is dangerous for
It's
me.
dangerous. It is incredibly dangerous. So I've got a banned word list, and I've told ChatGPT. I mostly use ChatGPT for my day to day stuff, but I've
Okay.
told ChatGPT that I would leave it for Claude if it used circle back on me.
So when you're saying you have like the trained list, you have your GPT, so you're using ChatGPT for this. I'm assuming it's like, hey, I need to write an email.
Yeah.
So you're saying I'm going to always ask you to write emails for me. You're never allowed to use these words.
Oh, so I've got a banned word list. I've got a
Okay.
tone guidance. I've got a favorite sentence structure, and it's interacted with me enough now that it has thousands of lines of my writing. So it knows how I write. And I said,
So
use my tone.
two things. Are you an Oxford comma person?
Oh, hell yes.
One of the things I've been seeing is the two tells
Mm-hmm.
for this was written by AI is the Oxford comma and the hyperdash.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could say is, as someone who's a huge fan of the Oxford comma, I feel personally victimized by this because I'm like, well, that's just how I write. Hyperdash, a little bit different. And then the second thing is, what were you feeding your GPT so it learned your sentence structure and it picked up that? And because you said there's like thousands of lines of data
Mm-hmm.
learning how to talk, what did you do to feed it that?
Okay, so this is where it gets kind of cool. It actually has a section that you can say, use this. So if you go into ChatGPT
Mm-hmm.
and you click on, I'm actually, as I'm talking to you right now, you click at the top and you say customize ChatGPT. And then it
Okay.
has a section that is customized ChatGPT, and it will ask you, what should ChatGPT call you? And you can tell it whatever you want. And it asks you, what do you do? And you can tell it whatever you want. And you say, what trait should ChatGPT have? And then you can say anything else ChatGPT should know about you. And you can actually put this information in as guidance. And there's an advanced section where you can tell it which capabilities to use. Just to be clear, there's some weird stuff in here. It's like Easter eggs. Like in what trait should ChatGPT have? There's the chatty, the witty, the straight shooting, the encouraging. There's also Gen Z, which I'm really not quite sure I understand what that means. But I had someone tell me you got no cap recently. And I'm like, what are you even?
Skibbity bop or something like that.
Or Riz or something like that. It will bring the Riz. I was talking to someone and I did not understand the words that were coming out of their mouth. Apparently you can set ChatGPT to do the same thing. Good times.
But did you just give it a bunch of your text messages? Did you say, here's some emails I've already written, so learn from this? What did you use to train it? So I'm thinking of it like an actor or an actress who
Sure.
needs to portray a historical figure.
No,
So you have a biopic of Marilyn Monroe. They're going to try to listen to a bunch of interviews or movies that Marilyn Monroe was in to pick up that tone, to pick up that cadence, to pick up things like that. So what were your quote unquote recordings or word samples? Like, did you just use like, hey, here's 10 emails, learn from this?
you can.
Or did you just pieced it together based on feedback and iterations?
So I'll give you an actual template, and it needs less than you think.
Okay.
So it needs less than you think. And this is the 80-20 rule applied again. The interesting part about this is that if you do have a well-defined voice and you have documents that you've used, you can add it to your existing projects. You can either add it to a project as a voice, or you can add it to the overall ChatGPT. If you are new to this and you don't have a lot of things that you've written, whether you're a student or you've just not had to write in your job, you can think on how you talk. And probably the easiest way is just to record a conversation with somebody.
Okay.
Using, you could use Zoom, or you could use any other tool that will transcribe. So if you use Google Voice, it'll record for you and will transcribe for you. And you can dump your portions of the conversation into ChatGPT and use my voice.
Okay.
So you don't have to overthink it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And by the way,
and I love being able to use transcript because there's so many things that we say colloquially So me being from New York and growing up in New York, I'm a hey guys.
Yeah.
So if I needed to send out, if I needed ChatGPT to create TikTok videos and create a script for that, it's always going to start off with hey guys, or two times out of three it should be hey guys.
Well, it should. And because the thing is, what I'm really concerned about with AI is that we're going to lose our voice.
Sure.
I am, mid-40s professional. It has taken me a lot of time to gain my voice. I speak
Mhm.
a certain way, I act a certain way, I write a certain way. It has developed over an entire career's worth of back and forth and knowledge. And the way that I talk about things and the way that I describe things is part of me, part of what
Yeah.
makes me me. And if you immediately switch that off and now you're some sort of corporate consultant, you've lost what makes you valuable to the company you work for or to your own brand.
And there's also this idea that I heard, I think it was either a TikTok video or it could have been on a LinkedIn. It was on social media. This woman does marketing, so she does email marketing for clients, and she said that one of her clients had either cut back on their contract or whatever it was, and she no longer did the emails. She no longer wrote the emails for the email campaigns, and this client decided to use ChatGPT instead,
Mhm.
which in theory makes sense, but similar to that Oxford comment, hyperdash, there's this idea of, well, it all sounds the same. And according to this professional, the open rate of the emails was the same, but the conversion rate was lower. So people were still opening the emails, but the conversion rate was much lower. Now, I don't know the details of the client, right? But I'm sure a big part of it was they probably didn't know how to train their AI to sound like them. Like, I'd be curious of, did you train it to say these were the most successful email campaigns we did. This is what I want it to sound like. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I want it to be.
Well, and you should, absolutely. I think that that's a very important and powerful knowledge that you shouldn't lose just because you're looking for easy mode. The easy
Yeah.
button is a giant red button. You press it and yeah, it'll give you content, but is the content a conversion tool or is it just something to fill the space? So we talk a lot of signal to noise. How much of what you're doing is actually valuable and how much is just more fluff?
So you actually shared with me, and these are uh, kind of funny. So
Okay.
we had our bad GPT, and then there's something you created, which is your Bert GPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your Bert GPT is what is your bot that you trained. And
Right.
you shared a list of some of the things that you prompted it to say. So the prompt was, for example, explain what makes a good leader.
Okay.
And what Bad GPT said was a strong leader leverages emotional intelligence, fosters alignment, and empowers their team to achieve strategic outcomes.
Yeah.
And then what did Bert GPT say?
So a good leader makes hard calls, tells the truth, and doesn't waste people's time.
And knowing you, that does sound like you, but also, even if someone didn't know you, I like that response better.
Right. I mean, it's important. Let's do another one. There's a couple of really good ones. So, why do so many digital transformations fail?
Okay, so that prompt, Bad GPT said many digital transformations fall short due to a lack of stakeholder buy-in, poor change management, and misaligned KPIs.
Yeah, Bert GPT says because no one knew what they were doing it, and everyone kept pretending they did.
I have to say, one of my favorites is absolutely when you gave the prompt, best way to communicate with a remote team. And the Bad GPT said to optimize remote collaboration, be sure to over communicate, leverage synchronous tools, and align expectations regularly.
Yeah. So, shut up, write it down, and stop scheduling meetings no one asked for. on point. I am like, you get me, get me.
I mean, how much time did you take training your GPT?
Initially, not a lot. I think that I'll give you a template. We'll drop it in the show notes. This is what you do. The things that you really want to do with training your GPT first time is, uh, you want to drop it into that section. I mentioned the custom instruction section, and you need to tell it a couple things. It needs to know a style. So what's your writing style? Give it a tone. You can use stuff like formal, informal, warm, dry, punchy, whatever. Give it a sentence length. If you want it to use emojis or not, punctuation style, Oxford comma, em dashes, it's aware. Formality. I tend to be less formal. I tend to be very straightforward to the point. Talk about your voice and values next. What you've got banned and required phrases. If you always use certain words, if you don't use certain words, like you had described earlier, if you have interaction rules that you want it to use, when stuck, your AI a lot of times will just keep going and going and going and going. And instead, if it doesn't know enough to give you a good answer, you should say, hey, you should stop and ask me questions. You can do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, really, with this style guide, you have really overcome the hurdle that a lot of creators are facing, which is sounding like everyone else, because no one wants to sound
yeah.
like everyone else. No one's looking to these tools to say, let me sound like let me do a post on LinkedIn that gets almost no reach because it looks like the other recruiters post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They would love it if they could be unique and be catchy and not look like they are part of AI. And it's not necessarily bad to be using it, but you do want that uniqueness and you don't want to keep going over and over and over again. So that's really a great hack. Like, you have to train your AI to sound like you. You have to train your robot.
Well, if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, you're going to get the same things they are.
Yeah.
You expect something different? Is it magically going to know who you are? The answer's no. And I think that there's two things that you can do that will really just completely change your experience in ChatGPT. The first one is to provide the training about yourself. The more it knows about you and how you communicate, the better. And don't be afraid of telling it that. It's not going to nefariously use super secret stuff, whatever. You're just one person in a billion people. It doesn't care.
I think Bert the bot needs to be trained on what kind of decisions you would make,
Sure.
so that next time your kids have questions, they could ask Bert bot and get the answer instead of bothering you.
It's a future project for me. I'm going to have a little Bert bot. It's a module that sits outside my office door, and they press the button and talk to it. You laugh.
And then a little panic button. Only press panic button. His house is on fire.
Well, they press
or
it.
something has stopped breathing.
Yeah. But the first one is to make sure that you go ahead and make the relationship with your AI an actual, you're not using stock AI. Whenever you buy a new phone, you set it up. Whenever you buy a new car, or you set it up, your seat's in a certain position, steering wheel's in a certain position. With your phone, you add certain apps. There's stuff that you use that are about you that have become part of you. Your AI should be the same. If you're going to use it to speak with your voice, then you should train it on your voice. The second thing is that once you've done all of that, iterate. Once you tell it something, when you put a prompt in, you shouldn't just take whatever it gave you and spit it out into LinkedIn. That's asking for trouble. You should use your own expert judgment and go back and forth a couple times and get a good.
How many hours do you think it will require to get a really good trained personalized AI? Like, how many hours do you have to spend training it? So when people are thinking about doing this investment of training their bot, is this like hey, you're going to need, and of course there's always going to be a tune-up phase, right?
Sure,
There's always going to be like a check-in, let's do this. But is it really like you need about 2 hours to really strategize and think about it? Or are you talking, this is something that's going to require probably 10 hours of work?
Okay. Well, the really bad news is that this is going to be the hardest and most difficult 10 minutes of your life. No, really. It is, it doesn't take long at all. You will see a
Okay.
noticeable difference in a very short amount of time. You could literally go in there and drop 5 of your last emails in there and say, use this, and it will change how it talks to you. I'm not,
Yeah.
if you have not done this, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is truly helpful. And I'm someone I love AI for brainstorming,
Sure.
but I won't use AI for a lot of things attached to my name or work product, on the sole reason that I'm someone who has specific details included. So if I'm writing something and I include a specific word or something, there's meaning behind all of that. And a lot of times, because I've never trained my bot, it'll make it more polished, but it loses all that meat. Because my writing style is very much like, here's a bunch of meat, and then like let's break it down with smaller, shorter sentences. And AI doesn't like that, because like you said, my writing's not featured in Harvard Business School. My writing's not in the Atlantic. My writing isn't being pulled from these huge databases that has originally trained the stock bot or the bad bot.
Well, you can train it yourself now. If you want it in bullet points, and you can train it specific. I create projects. So I've got
Yeah.
different projects for different things, and the different projects have different prompts for them. So I have one that I use when I'm primarily talking with my CEO, and he
Hmm.
wants it in a very specific way. And I can use my CEO bot, drop something in there, and it goes from like this long to like 4 bullets.
Yeah.
He does,
Yeah.
he doesn't have time for that crap. So I just,
Yeah. And I think vice versa. There's also people that I'll say that I'm very much in an email, I'm very much a CEO writing style email, but there's people that want as much detail as possible. And you can do it like this would be my key takeaways, but here's the rest of the notes, add it in. That's a really cool way to do that as well.
well, the one of the tricks is you get the first output, and then he said, this is great, annotate this and expand on it. And then
Mhm.
once you do that, you can tell it about how much you want, it'll do it. I love AI does not procrastinate. You ask it a thing, it immediately gives it to you. Might be wrong, but it'll give it.
Might be wrong, but it's gonna get it done.
Yeah.
It wants to go take its lunch break.
Well, then you tune it down, and then so it's like, okay, that's not exactly the way I want that part. Change this, change that,
Yeah.
add a graph. I'm
Yeah.
a huge proponent of tables. I'm a huge proponent of using something called Mermaid, which is a workflow tool.
Mhm.
So I write in it all the time.
Oh, this has been awesome, Bert. I think that for all of our listeners, they really need to check out the show notes, find the link to that guide on how to train your bot,
Mhm.
because like you said, you're not putting out marketing materials, but you're just using it for things like emails, and it's going to save you a ton of time. And for those that are smaller businesses and might be looking to generate blog posts in their own voice or LinkedIn posts, that's really a big win.
This is the important part. You do not have to keep its output, but when you're staring at the blank page and you don't know what to write, if I
Yeah.
get something in there with ChatGPT, at least I have a starting point. I swear it's going to speed you up.
Absolutely. All right, Bert, I need to go play around with my bot.
All right. Good luck. Let me know.
Go train my bot. Till next time.
Thank you for listening to Accelerated Humans with Bert Carroll and Julianna Fracconi. If you're interested in downloading the guide that was mentioned in today's podcast, please visit acceleratinghumans.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can also find a form at acceleratedhumans.com. Till next time.